That was in a very ancient time in a remote area of Arabia where there was no sand and silence. There lived a woodcutter named Saber. Saber was about 35 years old, but poverty showed on my face as she grew older. He lived in the Basita settlement with his wife and 2 young children. His house was built of mud, its walls cracked in several places. Its people were so strong that the strong winds frightened them. Saber used to wake up early every morning carrying his old axe on his shoulder. He heads to the forest to collect some dry firewood and then sells it in the city market to provide food for his children. One day, things got very bad. There was not a single woman in Saber's house from 2 days. Children were crying inside, and his voices were loud and tearing at Saber's heart. When he woke up in the morning to go to work, his wife came with her eyes full of tears. She said, "I called the faint one's name so that there would be something in the house to cook today. The children have been sleeping and coming since yesterday, and if they come home today also empty-handed, what will I say to them?" The patient people looked at his wife and their eyes filled with tears. They took a deep breath, put his hand on his chest and said confidently, "I will share my life with Asprey. God never abandons his servants. He is the provider. He will leave you with even a worm inside a stone. Will he be a human being? God's whole today I won't come back even after a year for our children." So he carried his axe and left the house. The sun was shining brightly and the ground was scorching. Sarsabar took quick steps towards the forest far away from the 2 places where it can cause dry spots. His steps were shaky and hunger made him dizzy. But the hungry faces of his children did not allow him to stop. He reached the forest and saw a dry tree. He began to cut it off, saying, "In the name of God," with long stings. The man was thirsty until his throat dried up. But he got to work. When the Gaira approached, he noticed that he was behind the bush, at the roots of an old tree. Saber stopped and looked curiously. An old leather bag, Almatfona Jazan, was in the air. He looked around and there was no one there, just the forest. He approached Putin and lifted the bag. She was very heavy and her heart was racing. Dean opened it tremblingly. It was not opened until 9 eyes from the dash. I reflect the sun's rays inside the bag. There was a strong sparkle. The bag was full of diamonds and jewels. For a mother who does not give heart, it had enough wealth for future generations of its descendants. At that moment, Satan whispered to Dinah, "This is Haduk. God has answered you. You no longer need to chop firewood. Take this bag." Say the devil. Adam, the sons of 2 royal servants. Ibn Khazram guessed. Who would know that this bag was found for you? Pictures of his arriving children began. We are looking for patience. His hand extended towards those shining jewels. But the next moment, his conscience woke up. His heart was filled with the fear of God. He closed the bag immediately. He shook his head while talking to himself. No. He is not patient. This is not your livelihood. This is honesty, a trust for someone who might be looking for it now. I kept it. The refuge of the world may disappear. But what about the other fire? Because I will make you forbidden to enter my valley. Saber stood there struggling with himself. And on his face were 2 severe swords. Between wealth to share and fear of God. And in the end, faith is defeated. Saber decided to go to the city immediately. Lip searched for the owner of the bag. He left his firewood in place. He hid the bag in his worn clothes. And Egypt set off toward Medina. He didn't know if this was the bag. It brought him good. A lost mother who will change her life. He was running hard on 2 feet across the scorching sand. and develop Kalo Ira. He hugs the bag to my chest. All he cares about is passing on the trust to its owner. As soon as possible, his conscience did not allow him to rest. After great goodness, Alsaber entered the city market. He is drenched in sweat. It was a busy market, full of noise, commerce, and decorations. Alsaber's hair was resting on the calm of the forest, anxious and stuck in crowds. While he was looking around, he heard a voice now. A caller was standing on a platform in the middle of the market. And medicine strikes low or won't. Listen to him. Listen to him. Listen to him. He counted the bag. Leather than full, with diamonds. To the rich, respected cigar merchant on the forest road. Whoever finds it and brings it back to me. Sufficient fluidity. 100 golden dinars. I don't hear from Saber Dalek. Until he felt comfortable. He raised his eyes to the sky. He thanked God in his heart. Oh, Lord, for every praise, I knew the owner of the trust. I don't want a reward. I just want this burden off of him. I asked Saber about the way. Until he reached the Sajaber Palace. The door of your palace was a castle door. And he is guarded. Rimith Yaba torn apart. Saber spoke confidently. He told them that he had found the missing item. The guards looked at him with contempt at first. But when he saw the bag. Enter it. Inside the palace, it has sabers from the looks of it. Silk carpets. And chandeliers, and the walls are decorated with gold. He was going to force it. A tall but strong man. Sitting on his throne with great pride. He wears them not proudly. And his white life is long. Saber and Salam approached respectfully. He put the bag in front of him and said, Sir, I am a poor woodcutter. Call Saber. Found this bag in the woods. While cutting wood. And when I heard the announcement in the city, I knew it was yours, so please, this is your trust. Mr. Jaber quickly snatched the bag from Alsaber's hands. He opened it quickly. He poured the jewels onto the table. What are diamonds about? I see the greed in his eyes. And his deposits are with his fingers. Satan entered his heart. And think. This man looks poor. And sadly, his gift of 1 dinar is sufficient. I will lose weight. Why is that so high? After she finished counting, his expression changed when he came. He stood angrily, pointing at Saber and shouting. You scammer. You think I'm a fool. This bag contained 10 stones. But now there are only 8. You stole 2 precious stones. You came to pretend to be honest. To take the reward. Repelled by Musaber. He felt as if the earth was an apartment of progress. He said while trembling. He doesn't help me, I swear to God, I didn't even open the bag. I brought it as I found it. I am poor, yes. But I'm not a traveler. But Mr. Jaber didn't listen to him. At the club, he said. Catch this scammer. You stole me. I need to take him to the judge. Sell him into prison so he can support the Diamond Stoners. Saber spoke out and confirmed her innocence, but the soldiers arrested him violently. While Mr. Jaber, he smiles internally. Saber is taken to a dark cell. His eyes were tearing up. But he was repeating. May God see your gray hair. May God see your gray hair. It was a dark and cramped dungeon. A place where you might lose a person and catch him within an hour. But Saber seemed strangely still. He didn't scream, and he did not agree. Rather, he sat in a corner. He began to remind God of him. There were other prisoners crying. They are in a state of hunger and thirst. When he saw him, he became angry with Jabo. Someone said, My brother. What is your crime? How are you? It's like this. If you fear, you will die here. Saber smiled and pointed to the hearing aid and said, My friend. My crime is that I am poor. And I have returned to the safety of my singing, but to stop. The one who gave me the diamond in the forest. They are able to be protected in this dungeon. This is also a test from God. The believer is not afraid of the clouds. Rather, he is patient. Prisoners affected by his words. And their eyes teared up. Even the cruel guard. Those who were listening were moved by his faith. And created. Outside, fate was moving. Syed Jaber, whom Al-Saber was concerned with, was wronged. The next day, Mr. Jaber went on a trip to another city. I have a trade. He had valuable goods with him. Loaded on horses. From 2 silks and don't go away. He was arrogantly accompanied by 2 bodyguards. With his riches and forces. And as the sun sets, they were passing through a major mountain road. What a valley of death. Suddenly a gang of thieves came out. Masked people from behind the desert. He surrounded them on all sides. Their leader shouted while holding a sword. Don't move. If you love your life, may peace be with you immediately. And we cannot find any of your corpses. Mr. Jaber, who was declaring Al-Masify, the saber face of every lion. Today he has become like a terrified bird, they said as he shivered. Take whatever he has. Just leave Hei Yan. The thieves pushed him off a horse. He fell on the ground. His luxurious mane was torn apart. And his crown, which was his symbol, fell into the dust. They took whatever he had. My space. His horses. Even its cradle is surrounded by an environment. An easy sailor escapes with their lives. And in moments, he became the richest man in the city. Poorer than any poor person. Indoctrinated on the road with nothing. The Sioux disappeared. Night fell. Syed Jaber remained wounded. Writhing thirsty and alone. Mullen did not suppress him. No power. And no one helps him. And in the dark of the night, suddenly remember what he did to Saber. How did a man wrong Priya? I put him in prison. He remembered his face defending himself. He felt a tingling in his heart. And he realized what had happened to him. It is a punishment and an injustice. They also betrayed Saber's trust. All wealth was stolen from him. Glaceb Kanadiman. And the next morning, there was a strange scene in Sultan's palace. Jaber entered. Which was always my intention. In flamboyant clothes. In the clothes of His Highness Mazaka. He faced dust, his body is full of wounds. He is crying hard. He stood in front of my Sultan, reaching out. And he said, "Oh my God. Misfortune has befallen me. I was devastated. Thieves stole everything. My money, gold, and business. I now have something. Please make me happy." The Sultan looked and was talking about who, and it's okay, it won't accept the case as strictly. Then he said. The Sultan said, "Mr. Jaber, we feel sorry for you. But they were informed that you were yesterday. I imprisoned a poor woodcutter. Charged with theft before traveling. What is the truth about that?" Mr. Jaber was a little confused. Then he said so and so. "Yes, my lord. The thief was scheming about. You have stolen a valuable diamond. Perhaps his prayer is what struck me." Sultan was suspicious of his words. He noticed a trace of deception in his eyes. He pointed to the minister and was satisfied with his true boldness. Then send it. But Al-Sultani's heart was not reassured. So think. This is Ingni Yun's man. He cries hard after he melts. And in return, the prison guard told me. That thief woodswoman. He lives in prison in Baduan. May God reward you. How can he be a thief? I'm sure it is like that. And true knowledge. The Sultan decided to investigate herself. That night, Ali took off his royal dress. Your homeland is close to a man's clothing, even if he is a stranger. He wore a turban and a face covering. When he arrives, he pointed to him with a sound. Then he entered directly to a dungeon, in which Saber was. In the dark dungeon, Sabran was a Sunni man. Every piece of my bread is gardened, and he says, "Thank God." The Sultan approached him. With a changed voice he said, "Hey you. I heard you screamed. Diamond is the richest man in town. Yet you look comfortable. You are without them. Be ashamed of what you did." Saber smiled and said softly, "Oh traveler. Shame is for the one who sins. And I didn't scream anything. I found the bag in the forest. Satan has arrived. But I failed God. I returned it to its owner. But he devoured the one who went astray. They imprisoned me on the pretext of missing 2 stones. The Sultan looked into his eyes and frowned. Then they asked, "You know that. Why didn't you invite him? Why didn't you scream?" Saber placed his hand on his chest, and he said, "I left it up to God. Now I know that thieves are thieves. He will force, so I felt sorry for him. Because he will feel the pain of poverty. Revenge is not my job. Rather, it is with God." Al-Sultani's heart was full. "You are affected. We were certain that this man. It can't be the thieves. I am LC Jaber. He wronged him out of greed." The Sultan put his hand on Saber's shoulder. He decided in himself to establish justice. It will be remembered by people. The next day, the royal court met. With all love. Banning ministers and notables. The Sultan sat on his golden throne. With a serious face, one of the sabers is untied. And enter C. Jaber, with his torn clothes. The sound prevailed. The Sultan regurgitated in Sutnalan. "Today the humiliation will appear." Then he looked at C.D. Jaber. And I coughed. "Can you confirm that this is the woodcutter? I will take 2 stones from you. Try C.D. Jaber." He lied and said, "Yes, my lord." Then the Sultan got up. He lifted the cloak, the structure he was wearing. Incognito, he said angrily, "Sir Jaber, I will open to you." The Sultan regurgitated. "The man who came to prison last night. He was not an ordinary person. But I blame myself. I've seen it with my own eyes. I heard Bayadoni speak this noble man. This is the man who did not say goodbye. And you have to even while he's in prison. But when he heard the news of your ruin. Sorry for you. When I heard that." Syed Jaber's poetry. It is as if the earth has been split open. The Sultan was not shocked. He was undercover to investigate. He realized that his lie had been exposed. I shivered with fear. He fell on his knees crying. "Imole. Forgive me. The insight has been blinding. And for 100 dinars. This wild woman was unjustly accused, and one day, God willing, I fell asleep. And it became ruins. So a spoon was at Isabir's feet. He asks for forgiveness." Al-Saber's heart was soft and remorseful. So he came forward and raised it and said, "Sir, Your Eminence, man is wrong. But remember that God's punishment. Not with his voice, and whoever does it to people, it will come back to us. Fari al-Sultan is very happy. May God heal the patient and his patience." And he issued wisdom. "Mr. Jaber, since you wronged my country." And she falsely accused him. "We judge you. Exile from the city, a period of time. Until you reflect on your mistake. Then the patient twists. The smiley of he said, "Be patient. We are your trust and trust in God. You may come here. From the state treasury. We will give you 1,000 dinars in gold. And a house to live in. From today you are our guest." He handed him his hands so that I would go. Sorrel God Almighty. And full of blood. And I realized that if God closes a door, it opened many doors. It is short for a slave to be burdened with it, and patient pouring is done. After that, Al-Saber's life changed. So he became rich. But he did not abandon her simplicity. They kept helping the poor and those in need throughout his life. People began to use him as an example of goodness and trust in God. After the death sentence was issued against Al-Sidi Jaber, he came out of the palace of Sultani with his head high. He does not wear clothes in torn clothes. And he has heavy villages. The city he was entering. A glorious day surrounded by guards. Today he left alone. No one pays attention to him. Spend your wish that he is a human shadow. Why does he have no place to stay? At first he was about to find merchants to help him. He knew them. But everyone closed the doors in his face. Because she is marred by injustice and greed. Thus, Jaber began to live the first days of his exile. The real one. He slept in the corners of the readers. Sometimes under rent. And sometimes in ruins. In winter, the nights were harsh. and the cold is filled with mercy. In the summer, hunger and thirst were as if they were waning. Until he almost loses consciousness. He is no longer that strong man who thought that money protects against everything. And as the days go by, his body started to put in more and more. His clothes were torn. And his shaggy life. His face was full of arrogance. He became pale and tired. And it was every once a day. He remembers Saber in prison. He remembers Hassamada's invitation. There is a Arab and there is sadness in his heart. But it was too late for real regret. On one harsh night, to the outskirts of the desert, far from urbanization, there was no food or food. And the winds were blowing sand. It's like it's coming to an end. Sitting under a big rock. And it's just like that. They cursed the broken voice. Is this an effective penalty? That is, Nimali. That is, my strength. Why do people leave? But there was no answer. Sawa Sutraha. In those last moments, I'm starting to get everything back. The moment of devouring the patient Dalman, greedy moment. Here he wanted to win 100 dinars, and how he chose to lie for the sake of justice. He realized that his downfall did not begin when his money was stolen. Rather, when theft is a person's right to freedom. At the dawn of the next day, Jaber had become extremely tired. He was no longer able to stand. His body suffered from both hunger and thirst. And the disease that began to creep into him. Anian tried this but he couldn't. A shepherd who was passing through the area approached him. His fur is like that. So he asked him, "Who are you?" He answered with a weak, if very weak tone. "I was a lord in the city. But today I am nothing." He asked him for water and he gave him some. But the term was closer than salvation. Jabir sat and hardly listened. And his eyes brought tears to me for the first time. "Honestly, neither a lie nor a lie," he said with a cracking whip. "Oh, Lord. If there is injustice in life." So he forgave me. Then he was silent. And between the first moments of dawn, Aslam Jaber went to Samantum. Away from palaces, goings, and guards. As every human being lives his ultimate life, the truth. Alone in front of his work. He was buried in that cruel land. Without any objection or mention. While the rest of his stories horrify people. Abraham. Injustice does not shine and money does not protect its owner. Who punishes the heart when it becomes corrupt? This is how Jaber's life ended. Not as he started it, singing and arrogant. Rather, as he concluded it, he was poor and alone. To make the lesson clear. Who oppresses people, he may one day escape the law. But he will never escape from God. This is the short story. We wear shoes no matter how bad they are. We should not follow the forbidden path. By trusting in God and being patient. Patience is bitter, but patience is always sweet. Condolences, friends. From which country are you watching this video? What do you think of this story? Share your opinions in the comments. And subscribe to our channel. Thank you very much for watching. Al-Kaif is another story.